Hello and thanks for joining the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. Today on the program, former head of state Abdusalami Abubakar, Pastor Tunde Bakare urged President Buhari to address security challenges, say insecurity breeding tension in Nigeria. Samson Siasia pleads with Nigerians to help secure the release of his mother from kidnappers as abductors bang phone on him over insufficient offer of ransom. And later on the show, APAPA traffic gridlock defies a remedy as security operatives fail to restore order. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Olayinka Oyegbile, and Sam Ibemere. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us. There is fire on the mountain in Nigeria, and leaders like former head of state, retired General Abdusalami Abubakar, are calling for greater vigilance. At the opening of a two-day summit in MINNA, Niger State capital on Monday, the likes of General Abubakar and former Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Ibrahim Gambari, expressed concern over growing tension in the country as a result of insecurity. They said security challenges facing the country demand urgent action and urged President Muhammadu Buhari to tackle them head-on. Enough should be enough. Before this security meeting, an invite was extended to the Apex Yoruba body, Pan Yoruba Social Cultural Group, Afenifere, and Afenifere, noting that Miyetti Allah were also invited as a group to come and mediate. Afenifere pulled out of this particular peace summit. But in any way, the role played by General Abdusalam Abubakar and these leaders of thoughts, how would you describe it, Babajide?
No, I commend them. We have reached the point now that we must seek solutions to our problems wherever those solutions are. Even if those solutions are outside of the shores of our country, we must just seek solutions to our problems. And we can't be tired of talking because everyone will come up with his own idea of how we can get out of the current malady that is afflicting us as a nation. It is clear now that security is the biggest problem in our country. Before 2015, we thought corruption was the biggest problem in our country. But the way it is now, there is no day that you don't read about people being killed, either in Katsina or in Sokoto, or Boko Haram slaughtering soldiers like flies, and people being kidnapped in different parts of the country. So corruption has become, insecurity has become the biggest problem afflicting our country, and the government has to address it. The government has to address it. The other day, Pastor Bakare burst into tears in front of his congregation over the killing of Baba Ashoronti's daughter. And what he was saying was that Nigeria's cup is full. Some of the things happening in our country, in other lands, it could lead to cross-country bloodletting. But we are grateful to God that He has continued to keep us together as one people. But government must realize that it is its responsibility to secure our people. As we make peace in Zamfara, you discover that more and more people are being killed in Sokoto and Katsina. You can imagine places that I used to go to in Katsina, Kankara. People get killed in Kankara local government these days almost every day. So you just wonder what's going on. And the last killings that happened in Zongo and Kankara, the bandits actually wrote them a letter that they were coming.
And nobody could stop them.
the police materialized on the scene 9 hours after the killings are taking place. So they killed people in Zangum, Kankara, and went on, after killing 18 persons in Zangum, Kankara, they went on to Makira and killed 4 more. Human lives have become extremely cheap in our country, and I'm terribly ashamed, honestly. I never knew that day would come when human lives will be almost as worthless as a sweet wrap on the floor. And that's what pushed Pastor BAKARE to tears. You know, that how can we come out of this? What's going on? Why is it so easy to take people's lives? Have the security agencies simply given up? Because they look powerless to solve this problem. They look really powerless. Are we going to turn negotiating with bandits into a national policy? Since it appears we are powerless to stop the killings, are we going to externalize the initiative of the Zamfara state governor, and everywhere that we cannot rein in bandits, we begin to negotiate with them? Is that what we will now be forced to do? Since we cannot, we seem powerless to solve this problem.
Nika, it took time for this thing to fester. As in, I saw a video online, and when I saw these bandits and what they were carrying, and some of them had RPGs, and I was like, come on. You know, and I don't know what's the difference between these guys and Boko Haram.
Well, now there's a very, very thin line to determine what is the difference. In fact, some people have even said that the Boko Haram might be the one that has metamorphosed into this. But you see, the problem we are having is that the security agencies have not been able to act when they are supposed to act. We have allowed this thing to fester for too long. The police IG said in 2019, the first quarter, about 1,000 people have been killed. The first quarter, that means the first 3 months. And if the police can tell you 1,000 people have been killed,
let's take it, that's 5,000 might have gone.
Exactly. And you begin to wonder, in this country of ours, what has happened? The intervention of General Abdusalami Abubakar now is a very good one. The sentence that he said that caught me is this: there is anger in the land, and the voices of reason are drowning very rapidly. Why? Because those at the center of authority who are supposed to act don't act. And when people talk, you issue statements, you dismiss them with a wave of the hand that they are unpatriotic. I mean, I hope tomorrow, or maybe later today, General Abdusalami also will not be accused of being unpatriotic. Because the patriotism we are talking about is to be able to say the truth. Forget about who said what. The important thing is, has he said the truth? Is it what he has said? Is it true? Many of us don't like some of the people who talk, but when you listen to them and you look at the scenario they have painted, you know that things are going awry. And the best time to act is now. And I hope we will not degenerate to that point of Olarotimi's play, holding talks, that every time we have a problem, we just hold a talk, and after the talk, we disperse and talk and go away. Actions are to be taken, and the best thing to do, we've said it the last time we were here, I hope, honestly, that President Muhammadu Buhari will not be just another former president by the time he finishes his term. There must be calculated attempt to initiate moves that will restore peace in the country and make things better. We've had so many former presidents. I hope he's going to distinguish himself among all those former presidents we've had. That he's going to show that, look, as a infantry officer, as a former military man who rose through the rank and has manned military formations all over the Federation, I don't expect that things will degenerate to this level. The buck stops at his table. If you appoint people and they are not acting, there's nothing stopping you from asking them to go.
Sam, I think the breeding ground for this, he said something what General ABUBAKAR was quoted to have said, and I remember that there's anger in the land and there's hunger in the land, and and this has fueled this insurgents, because how do they get to recruit youths?
You already alluded to one of the factors, hunger. There's a popular saying that a hungry man is an angry man.
The next meal is not sure.
It's amazing if you consider the number of people who are out of job, who are unemployed, people who don't have anything they are doing. These are basically breeding grounds. Data is rarely available within our climes, but the fact is that these numbers run into millions. If you have taken time to look at the figures that have been shared by the National Bureau of Statistics, runs into several millions.
We said 23%.
Yeah,
as in the last count.
And it is worse, in the northern belt of the country. It's very bad, and so you find that these miscreants, don't have any other thing they can latch onto, to survive. And banditry has become a very big industry. You really don't need much to get into it. There are people who are willing to, supply you with arms. So once you are pushed to the wall, you want to fight back. You want to eke out a living by any means. So hunger is central to it. And I think that over the years, our leaders have not done much in terms of creating the right environment for jobs to be created. When you started initially, you alluded to, or you made reference to the Yoruba ethnic group that wasn't interested in the peace parley that was called by Abdul Salam. I'd like to add that the Ohanese also said no to it. The Middle Belt, also said no to it, because they felt that, dragging the Mietiala, group to that peace conference was unacceptable to them. And it paints, a very terrible picture of the resentment in the land, how deeply divided we have become. So you ask yourself, are political gladiators really interested, in bringing peace to the land? It wouldn't be the first time that Abdul Salam and the likes of Father Kuka, will be making, efforts to bring peace, get warring parties to talk. They've been there. The National Peace Committee, headed by him and Father Kuka and the pastor in Lagos. So it's always been there, but the sincerity of purpose, is what is missing. So you ask yourself, why would we not be in a hurry to make sacrifices in the face of the dangers that confront us as a people, as a country? Those are the critical issues.
Babajide, I remember the height of the Niger Delta crisis, and people were able to sit down and look, apart from blowing up pipelines and everything, it was bringing the major source of income for the country down. And the Yar'Adua administration was able to sit down and drew up that amnesty program, and it was carefully implemented. I will not say it's Uhuru yet, but then there's relative calm in the Niger Delta region. Since 2009, we've been facing Boko Haram. From Boko Haram, this cattle rustler started, and before you know it, it has taken another dimension. I don't even know how to describe it. some of the governors in Zamfara and Katsina states, they are looking at a situation to study the situation with a bid to reach out to these bandits. I've seen a video, one of the bandits was even addressing the government officials, telling them that after the festival, they were going to hit like 8 communities and everything. And to negotiate with these people, since the security agencies, but they've not, they look helpless. So we have this option on ground. Should we start negotiating with them?
Honestly, I will not blame any governor who is keen about negotiating, because governors, we are quick to blame governors, as if it is purely their responsibility to secure their states, whereas their powers are limited. These governors provide resources. They buy multi-terrain vehicles for the police. They buy even sedans for the police, just like Dangote has done. I wonder where the police would be today if Dangote had not supplied those vehicles, because those vehicles are clearly in the majority when you look at the inventory of the police. Now, in spite of all that, you see clearly that killings are not going down. So what do you then do? What do you do? You don't want your people to be killed all the time. So you have to find a way to solve the problem. And we have seen. I remember when the Niger Delta militants were bombing pipelines, breaching pipelines in their area. I had an argument with someone on Facebook that it may make sense for the government to try and reach out to the leaders of the region so that those boys will stop the bombings, because these pipelines crisscross the entire Niger, most of the Niger Delta area. So you can't even police them. Bring 1 million soldiers, you can't police them. And you saw what happened. We sent soldiers to the area, but the pipelines continue to get breached. So what did we do? With the former Minister of State for Petroleum, the Vice President went to the area and engaged these guys. And immediately they engaged them, the bombing stopped. All those breaching of pipelines, taking petrol to escrows, they know all our export terminals. So the pipelines that leads to those export terminals, once they breach, you cannot export. So they can effectively cut your export capacity by half. So, but they made peace with them, and in the end, this thing stopped. So the fellow who was abusing me, who was saying that I was encouraging people to resort to crime, I wonder what he will say today. It's not every situation that you can use force.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have Abdullah on the line. Thank you so much, Abdullah.
Yes.
Go ahead with your contribution.
Abdullah Siasia.
Okay.
You from Abuja.
From Abuja. Thank you for joining us.
Yes. Babajide and the other men in the studio, you are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abdullah.
My problem with my country is very worrisome. Mr. DJ, my problem is why our leaders are divided and separated themselves to come closer and discuss, find the solution, bring peace in our country. Why our leaders, organizations run away from finding solutions to bring peace for us, children yet to born, for our generation.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution.
I think it's the reaction of Afenifere, and you see, there is a mistake that we are making. There are two factions of the Mietiala. There is the Mietiala Katankore, or what?
Yeah.
That is the group that issues irresponsible
Ultimatum.
statements. You can see clearly that it is not even the mainstream Mietiala. Mietiala, they have factions. In fact, during the last election in Taraba, I'll give an example. One group supported the PDP. The other group supported President Buhari. Go and check. So but when we are reporting, because a lot of us journalists and emergency journalists on social media do not even know, they do not know the distinction between these two groups. So an irresponsible fellow calling himself spokesman for Mietiala when he is not qualified to speak for Mietiala, you know, will issue a statement and we will start saying Mietiala said this. But it's not mainstream Mietiala. Remember the group that was abusing Tinubu the other day? That is the other group. They are not the mainstream Mietiala. People like Otman, the group that Otman, where you have Baba Otman, the Yobe man, as secretary, that is the mainstream Mietiala. That is the Mietiala group that, if they issue a statement, we know that yes, this is the real group. This is the group. A lot of them who call themselves Mietiala members, they don't have cows. They don't have cows. Just a band of people exploiting the unfortunate division that we have in our country. So that distinction has to be made. So if you make a decision to not want to sit with Mietiala because someone, an impostor, issued an irresponsible statement, then you are also contributing to the problem that we have. Because that fellow does not represent Mietiala.
And this Afenifere too, they have factions too.
Yeah, two have factions. But even the thing is, people must recognize that there is a mainstream Mietiala. That is the one that they must deal with. That is the one that they have to take seriously. You know, if you now take seriously what someone, even during the Benue crisis, it was the same cantankerous faction of Mietiala making all the irresponsible statements and worsening the situation. It is not Ungezama, Baba Otman Ungezama and his people that were making those statements. So it's unfortunate. Sometimes Baba will come, you say, see newspaper quoting this boy and alluding it it's unfair. It's unfair.
You know, the scenario that is playing itself out now is just like the scenario we had with OPC. The Gani Adams and the exactly. And unfortunately, when the invitation was sent out, I think the organizers should have been able to meet with all those invited and explain it to them. If it is the authentic faction of Mietiala that was invited, they should have been made to know that, look, you might hear that, okay, these are the list of invitees. The Ohaneze and Afenifere can now look at it and say, no, because this group is coming, we are not going to come. Okay, you now explain to them that forget about all those noisemakers. This is what we have done. Perhaps that will have made them to understand the difference. Because when the invitation was extended and everyone sees it in the newspapers, you didn't invite OPC. We heard that, because for me, the people might disagree, but OPC, Mietiala, they are almost on the same level. So you don't compare, because ACF is different from, is at the same level with Ohaneze and the rest of them. So if you invite Mietiala, you should invite APC.
And it's the mainstream group that eventually attended this. But the damage being done to Mietiala as a group is being done by the other group.
Yeah, I think there is something a lot more, fundamental about the rejection by these groups that we have talked about not to be part of that peace talk. My hunch tells me that they were probably looking at the effectiveness of the outcomes of such a gathering. Like I said in the past, we've had the Abdul Salami group try to intervene a couple of times, and then you have these gladiators refusing to be part of it. I think that what is a lot more critical to our survival as a country is for us to sit down and genuinely talk. We have had discussions in the past. We have had national conference and the rest of them. Now, what I think needs to be done is, if the government has very strong reservations about the outcomes of past national confab, something critical needs to be done. Otherwise, if Absalom continues to hold the kind of talks that he has done or held at the moment, I don't see anything coming out of it. I think people are looking forward to something much more critical, much more fundamental.
Still to come, Samson Siasia pleads with Nigerians to help secure the release of his mother from kidnappers as abductors bank phone on him over insufficient offer of ransom. Stay with us. It's still Journalist Hangouts. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Journalist Hangouts. We are reaching you live from our studios here in Lagos, Nigeria. The phrase suffering and smiling was popularized by Nigeria's Afrobeat legend Fela Anikulapo Kuti to depict the unperturbed attitude of Nigerians to the face of hardship. The abduction of Beauty Siasia, that's the mother of former soccer star Samson Siasia, since the 15th of July is becoming fashion following the negotiation for ransom payment from initial 70 million naira to 50 million naira, and now to a not too certain figure. A lame offer of 500,000 naira by the family was rejected by the abductors, who banged the phone on them over the amount. Now Samson Siasia is pleading with Nigerians to help secure the release of his mother from the kidnappers. Gentlemen, this is serious. I don't know where these people, but the way they call these figures, I don't know how they expect, Samson Siasia to get, 5 million naira. He stopped playing active football some years back, and even coaching is not 50.
It doesn't matter.
Coaching is not as lucrative as 50 million naira. Where will he get that from?
No, the woman was first kidnapped in November 2015. Yeah. So this is the second kidnap in 4 years. You see, what the kidnappers always imagine is that after a while, Nigerians, government will intervene and bring the money. I know someone who worked for a governor who was kidnapped, and the Fulanis who kidnapped him, the person too is a Fulani, the Fulanis who kidnapped him, demanded for 25 million. That governor had to look for the money. He had to look for the money. Because you can't watch your own staff being killed by a band of irresponsible people. Because they say blood is thicker than water, you can't allow it to happen. So eventually you go and raise the money. So they think that the longer that these people spend in their hands, the more frustrated and therefore determined government and other concerned Nigerians will be to raise the money, the ransom. So this is what is happening. It's unfortunate that this is happening in our country. Look at what Siasia said. They have made contact with us and they have told us what they want. They should know I retired a long time ago. I can't match the first demand of 50 million. They should just be considerate. They have mothers as well. It's difficult to talk to this kind of people. They've lost the capacity to even be considerate. These are people on drugs. They are on drugs. If you hear the testimonies of people who have been unfortunate to be kidnapped, if you hear the blood-curdling testimonies of these people in the hands of these wicked fellows, you will never, ever wish even for your enemy to be kidnapped. So because constant beating, every night they'll be beating them. Sometimes they will tell you, put the phone on speaker so that your people can hear them flogging you. Believing that once they do that, your people will quickly go and raise the money. Siasia says he has only 500,000. And they're asking for 50 million. They came down from 70 million to 50 million. We just have to do something drastic about kidnapping in our country. And I commend the police commissioner in Taraba State because he gathered kidnappers. Kidnapping is rampant in Taraba. In fact, in daytime, they will break into your house and kidnap you. In Jalingo, the state capital, they will break into like thieves. They will break into people's homes just to steal individuals. Is that bad? And the guy now gathered them. He says, see, you kidnappers, you have an opportunity to stop this nonsense because we will descend on you and we will not show mercy. It doesn't matter, and I've said before, the president has not said because you are Fulani that if you catch a kidnapper, you should spare him. He has never said so. He didn't say so. If people will do their work the way it should be done, without caring whether, oh, this person is from my tribe or not, honestly, we'll be over some of these problems. Look at what happened. In Bali local government, where kidnapping is common, you know, Bali, that stretch right up to Gashaka, they kidnap people on the road. They killed 4 kidnappers during this week. They killed 4 kidnappers. That is meant to send a message to them in Taraba that the coming days will be hot for them. So if you think that, okay, your job, you don't want to go through the rigors of doing what you used to do, and then because you think kidnapping now will fetch so much money, your life could be cut short. So we have to, as security people must descend heavily on kidnappers wherever they may be. I'm happy there is a bit of improvement in the southwest area. Now, those reports have come down, but the police must remain vigilant and deal decisively with these undesirable elements.
You know, the thing that is a surprise to me is why haven't we been able to get these people? Is it film trick? Even when we were kids, we know that before technology advanced to this level, you watch films, ransom is paid, some chips, some detectors are put in the band of money they are going to collect. They collect it, wherever they take that bag of money to, the detectors will tell the police, the security agencies where they are, and they can swoop on them. Is it that it is only film trick? I know it is. There is that technology. So why is it that?
It's because the technology is not localized across the police formations.
Exactly.
Abakaris men, they do it. They
so why don't we have that all over?
And it's not, you see the thing, even the rich men in our country, people like Dangote or Tedola, they can finance payment for this technology and ensure that you have it in all the military formations.
Exactly.
But we are not doing that. So
you
the
know,
whole thing
when you are asked for ransom, for instance now the family of Siasia, the security agents will meet with them, give them the detectors, they put it in the one of
families don't also want to do
yes, that's what
no, because
most families, when they fall into this thing, they don't even involve the police in the process of negotiation.
Initially, they involve the police.
Yeah.
When they see that time is going.
No, they don't need to. What I'm saying now is the police, everybody knows that they are demanding for bribe. Why can't they send people to the family or send the money to the family and then the family go to deliver it?
There's something you talked about, and that's the area that concerns me,
yes.
Really. And it has to do with capacity. There's a young man that has been so widely celebrated, ABUBAKAR. Each time we have a challenge, ABUBAKAR is sent from wherever he is to one part of the country and all that. And that is what is disturbing. You have an institution that has existed for a very long time, and you ask yourself, why are we not building sufficient capacity such that you can have an ABUBAKAR replicated all over the place?
No, it's just the equipment. So get the equipment available.
It throws up a lot of issues. How much are we talking about? It's about prioritizing what is really needed.
Up to 20 million.
Yeah, it's about prioritizing what is needed. If you are determined to find a solution to this, you can get it. We have fantastic young men who are in the police force. I don't want to believe that an ABUBAKAR is the only one who is capable. Each time we have an emergency.
It's the equipment. He's the custodian of the equipment.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be so. And that in fact exposes him to even great danger.
Yes.
Now, everybody knows that it's only him who can walk into the forest and confront these young men. I don't want to believe that. In a nation of almost 100 persons, over 300,000 policemen, there are many more ABUBAKARs in the system. Let's prioritize it. The government should, if we don't have the capacity within, reach out to
Lagos has the
capacity.
Is it the budget that we have been given that is not enough to buy all these things?
You see, I've interacted with policemen.
Yes.
It's commitment.
Very senior level policemen. I've interacted with them. This technology that we are talking about is not it's not overly expensive. And I'm saying that we can get people like Dangote and the rest of them who are businessmen, give them tax holidays.
Yeah.
And say, look, we want you to finance bringing, because an individual cannot bring it in.
No, definitely.
You can't bring it in. You know, so you can say, okay, let us help us to pay for this thing. I know that RRS has it. If you mess up in Lagos State, even ordinary phone theft,
you cannot
even phone theft in Lagos. In Lagos, RRS will get you. RRS will get you. So Lagos went, Ambode went to great lengths to equip the RRS. So the RRS has it.
The governor Sanwo-Olu met them today.
So what we want is for that capacity to be replicated across the state,
what would it
state commands.
Yes, so what would it take to convince the police leadership
I have
to buy into this agenda? I mean, that's what.
Thank you for joining us.
That's why we are saying, okay, let the rich men.
Good evening. Good evening, Ayo.
Yes, additional.
Good evening, Ayo. Good evening to Babajide and the co-panelists in the studio.
Thank you.
I want to tell you that for terrorists to thrive in any nation or society, it's going to stand on three prongs. And that is one, the sponsors, the combatants, and the sympathizers. Now, I want to let you know that, yes, our security, they are overstretched. They are trying their best in any way we can say. But now we are still being confronted with this issue of insecurity. Now, have you heard in any news media, any of the sponsors, I said, who are the sponsors of these criminals? We have not been able to do that. And our intelligence gathering also is not even enough. I can tell you that this problem confronting us is just for a while. It's a surmountable problem. If you ask me, when we are ready, when we are really ready, we will put it to the border and nail it. It's not us. It just can't be. People cannot just be kidnapped at will.
Thank you, Alishino.
Somebody somewhere will be there.
Thank you, Shino. I think we have to call on the Bayelsa State government. Samson Siasia has served Nigeria, and Governor Dixon, countryman, he has to come to his aid.
He even said, see, we won the Nations Cup. They made promises to us that they've not fulfilled. I'm broke, and this is happening. But you see, beyond that, because it's not feasible for government to pay ransom for every...
No, it's not even advisable.
You see, the more you pay, the more they come for
exactly.
people. So the thing is, let us solve the problem. If the police have the capacity, I know that the police is underfunded, you know, it's heavily underfunded. But the equipment, we can bring that equipment by simply reaching out. If they had passed that bill, for example, through which the police will be able to get sufficient funding, maybe on their own big projects like the one that we are talking about, they can handle. But beyond that, our rich men, they can suggest to them that, look, we have this problem. The same way you have supplied cars to us. We need this.
We need this.
Can you help? And then government can on its own say, okay, because you, Dangote, or you, Otedola, you have undertaken to help us out of this problem. We give you tax holiday for so period. You know? So this is my view, is the way we can solve this problem, because it's not every state that is as rich as Lagos.
No.
Where you can fund the RRS the way you do.
I'd like to add, it's common knowledge that all the governors in this country have what they call the security votes. Now, you've talked about corporate Nigeria, you've talked about rich men who can come and play a certain role. But we should be asking our governors, what do they use the security vote for? You said something about the equipment not costing an arm and a leg. So, please, for goodness sake, 10, 20% of your security votes across the country. It would, I mean, the states will go down. So it's about commitment. It's about appreciating that we have a serious matter on our hands. The governors shouldn't just fold their arms and blame the center. They have a responsibility. And we all know that they have a budget that they control.
The reason some governors are resorting to negotiating with bandits is because despite releasing so much money to the security agencies, there is no solution to banditry. If you know how many equipment that Yari bought for the police, you'll be dazed. Yes, we didn't have a solution to this. Yes, because we are privy to some of these things. It's not as if they spend billions on security. But at the end of the day,
probably spending billions on the wrong things.
No, not the wrong thing. The equipment. The police, do they really buy Isuzu Tigers for themselves? No, even Amosun here bought APC and the rest of the.
So if they buy that equipment and we don't have somebody in the class of ABAKARE, then we're back to square one.
We have people in the class of ABAKARE. I've told you the reason ABAKARE is in.
Is not localized.
We have not. Security is important because we have not ensured that we spread
all over the country,
capacity across the country. So it's not as if he has two heads, but we must commend him for his courage and his achievements, so that people don't think that we are diminishing him.
Exactly.
All right. The gateway to Nigeria's economic life wire, the APAPA port in Lagos, has been under the siege of trucks for a long time, causing traffic gridlock. Several efforts to clear the roads for free flow of vehicles yielded no positive outcome. So far, the Presidential Task Force charged with the job of dislodging the trucks from APAPA has not achieved anything. The task force commenced its assignment on the 24th of May, but failed to deliver on a 2-week mandate on the 7th of June and another extension on the 27th of June. Now, more than 2 months after, the APAPA traffic gridlock has defied remedy as security operatives failed to restore the order on that corridor. I wish we could call Mr. Kayode to ask him. He's always sending me videos on improvement, development in that corridor and what they're doing. But the situation, from the feedback we're getting, APAPA is still a no-go area. Gentlemen.
You know, not too long ago, he said that there is what they call the Red Sea in APAPA, that drivers pay 60,000 naira to cross the Red Sea. What does that mean? That if you pay 60,000 naira and you cross what they term as the Red Sea, it assures you that in a short while you will get to do your business. Now, the question is, are we really solving this problem, or we think putting up a task force or putting up the military is what will solve it? What is the initial cause of the problem in APAPA? Bad road. Bad road. And we heard that, I must confess that it's almost a year or two. I've never been to that axis because I don't even want to witness it. Now, what is the state of the reconstruction that Dangote has been doing? Is it how has it progressed? We don't know. And also, if you want to solve a problem, you don't solve a problem or a traffic problem when the roads are bad. Some video I see of APAPA, it looks to me as the Democratic Republic of Congo in those days when there was war. I mean, it was like that country in the age of Mobutu Sese Seko.
Extremely dirty. Refuse everywhere. I don't know
if it is only that, there's no problem. But the roads are like a trailer will enter some of the gully, you won't even see that the trailer is there because it's so deep. And I wonder, why did we allow this thing to sink to this level? Is it that
ports, the access to Nigeria?
It is scandalous. Why should we allow that to happen like that? Okay, if it has happened before, is 4 years not enough to at least do some remedial repairs or patching so that things can move? But it's very unfortunate.
I think the road thing is just one leg of it. I want to be fair. I live on the, Ikorodu, Sulere Stadium, axis and all that. And
Williams Avenue.
Yeah, the situation remains bad, but I wouldn't want to sit down here and say that it hasn't improved at all, because every day I drive, past that axis, and I used to see very long queues stretching all the way from Ikorodu Road to APAPA. You don't find that, it's not as bad as it used to be. Maybe when you get into APAPA proper.
It's APAPA we are talking about.
Okay, fine. Yeah, but it used to be very bad. So if they've been able to clear the Ikorodu Road axis, clear the Western Avenue, clear the bridge, then I think we can say, the first steps. The first step. But within APAPA, you still have that, congestion. Yes, bad roads a problem, but my take is that all the while, what we have tried to do is attack the symptom. There is a larger problem, and that larger problem was caused by the fact that the government, in trying to resolve the challenges around the port axis, decided to concession port operations. The trucks I used to see had access into the ports, and they could park. But once the concession arrangement was put in place, okay, those who won the contract simply fenced off the areas that were concessioned to them, and so the trucks were pushed out of the ports, and they had to start looking for somewhere to park along the roads. So you add that to the road challenge, and the fact that over time we've had a very poor culture of maintenance. But beyond that, Ayo, you also have the problem of a port axis that government has done nothing about in terms of redesigning. I mean, that region is probably 30, 40 years old. And you still have, and you still have the same roads and all that. Now, the factories that were set up around that axis were designed to have their goods or shipments moved by rail.
Yeah.
That failed. We hear that the government, the ruling party, is making efforts to redesign the rails to get to the ports. That will be a solution. Until that is done, the roads that have been designed to ferry goods out of the ports cannot withstand the pressure.
Julie, my question to you is that, how did we find ourselves in such a mess, in a situation whereby that is the only ports in which goods, services, fuel, everything can enter the country? Just one point.
No,
putting pressure on the infrastructure around Lagos State.
We have other ports. Why are they not functional? Some of them need to be dredged so that big vessels can access them. We've not shown enough will to do that. I had suggested in the past that, for example, lifting of petroleum products, because it's not simply access or the desire to have access to the ports. that is causing this traffic gridlocks. To imagine that everybody, all of those trailers are heading for the ports is wrong. Tanker drivers, it's not all the articulated vehicles that you see on that road that are actually going into the ports. Some of them are going to the numerous tank farms located in the area. Now, why did we decide to sell land to more than 100 tank farms in that area? There are more than 100 tank farms in that area. And everyone, unlike when we were growing up, when the depots were functional, everyone comes to Lagos now to lift petroleum products.
Even to Sokoto?
All the way from Sokoto. And then we say, okay, let's have petroleum equalization fund by which we can ensure that those people do not lose money and petrol still gets sold at the same price all over the country. So there are tanker drivers who are also parking there. In fact, they are more than those trying to gain access into the port. So why can't we have a situation in which we dredge the ports, make those ports accessible to bigger vessels?
Okay,
and
I think Mr. Okwefa is on the line now. Let's thank you for joining us. Hello? Mr. Okwefa?
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello?
I can hear you. Oh.
You see, the point that I was trying to make is now petroleum products can be lifted from the Warri port. If you dredge the Warri port so that bigger vessels, like the ones that bring in petroleum products, can come into Warri, then petroleum products meant for the south-south and southeast, you can tell them to go to Warri. Yes, to Warri. Warri to lift. We have the Onne port as well. Yes. You can do the same thing, so that will even ease the pressure on
this APAPA.
on Warri. Then we used to have those depots functional. We had in Jeba, we had in other places. Truckers were not going all the way to Lagos to lift petroleum products in those days. Even when the rail system had begun to really nosedive, they were not, because the depots were working. But the situation in which people continue to vandalize pipelines made us to stop using the depot. So everyone would now go all the way to Lagos to go and lift petroleum products. This is the situation. Yes. One of the ways to remedy this situation is to say, okay, all those tank farms will revoke their CFOs. But you are going to pay, because they will go to court, you are going to pay huge compensation. For that, I don't think any government will want to do that. Even if you fix the roads, if you fix the roads, by the size of those roads, you will not solve that problem. So it's not a question of simply repair the roads. No, they don't have to even park on the road in the first place. Those roads are not designed to carry dead weight. And so even if you fix the road in no time, as long as they are carrying dead weight, they will go bad again. So this is the thing.
I think there's a lesson to take from this entire challenge. And for me, it's in the area of working with data. If we had paid serious attention to data, we would have been able to project that many years after, traffic along that axis, the number of people having to go to that area for business would have spiked. But it appeared that government wasn't very strategic in its thinking. And so you had a situation where all of a sudden, you had a huge problem on your hands, and all you could do at the moment is just begin to tackle the symptoms. Jide, when you spoke, you talked about how trucks moved in and around APAPA. I'm aware that there are two major parks, the Lily Pond Park and the Tinkan Gate Park.
Yeah.
Now, the story out there is that those parks are not, they're underutilized. So
let me say, if they open boats, it will not solve. Alfred, it was designed. The thing is, tankers are not meant to go there. Everyone in Nigeria shouldn't be going to Lagos to lift petroleum products. This is the thing. Lily Pond, force everyone to go and park inside Lily Pond. I swear to God, you will not solve that problem. At the same time, this is not. You see, when we have problem, people will come up with all kinds of. But are they supposed?
In the short run,
are they supposed to put those tank farms there? The answer is no.
But that will be long term.
We have to go, Sam.
In the short term, what do you do?
Maybe this topic, we have to bring this topic back, and maybe that time Mr. Kayode Okwefa will be able to brief us on what the presidential task force is doing.
Can only try to control traffic. This thing I predicted what will happen. I knew they will not be able to solve that problem. We've had many presidential directives, but they didn't solve the problem.
Sam, thank you so much. Olayinka Oyegbile, thank you very much. And BKO. And that's our offering on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. Also watch Journalist Hangout on our platforms showing on the screen. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzubakon. See you tomorrow, and God bless Nigeria.